There is one thing in particular that the Super Mario Bros. Movie did better than almost every other video game adaptation.
So bold!
A complete lack of shame. This is Mario, only in movie form, unlike the countless video game to film adaptations that preceded it, including Mario's infamous other attempt. But this Mario movie makes zero concessions where it counts. Okay, maybe one small concession, but we'll get to that later. But when it comes to the characters, the world, the animated art style, most of the music, and even some story elements, this is Mario through and through. I mean, the very first thing we hear is the airship theme from Mario 3. Which is used to underscore an invasion by an army of turtles against a kingdom of penguins, all in pursuit of the superstar hidden inside a block with a giant question mark on it. This movie has no shame, and that's a big part of why it was such a massive success. If we compare it to just about any other video game adaptation, it's a night and day difference, with nearly all of them severely compromising the series' core identity, all in an effort to appeal to what Hollywood executives think the average person will want, even if that means twisting it into something that barely resembles the source material outside of a handful of token elements. Even the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which by all accounts was a big success, barely looks like the games that inspired it outside of a 2-minute sequence early on. Otherwise, the movie takes place entirely in the strange land of Green Hills? Wait a second, you can't fool me! Even though Jim Carrey absolutely killed as Dr. Robotnik, this isn't the Eggman we know from the games. No! I probably don't have to remind you that even Sonic barely looked like Sonic before getting a last-minute overhaul. So as far as being faithful to the source material, it wasn't quite a home run. Because the Sonic brand is more than just a sum of 1 or 2 characters. But despite this, it was still a fun movie, and arguably one of the better video game adaptations. But it's not exactly what comes to mind when you first think of a Sonic movie, and it absolutely still left a lot of hardcore fans wanting. Especially now that we're in the post-Mario movie era. And this is one reason why the complaint that the Mario movie plays it safe doesn't seem entirely fair, because by Hollywood standards, it did anything but. If we take a look at Hollywood's video game film adaptations before Mario, 32 of the top 35 were either live action or mostly live action with some CG characters thrown in, with the only exceptions being the 2 Angry Birds movies and Final Fantasy, which ended up being one of the biggest box office bombs of all time. And that actually might be why live action is the only path forward when it came to Hollywood adaptations, even with the occasional misfire, as it allowed the producers to leverage the strength of the IP, while also trying to reach the broadest audience possible, which they accomplished by casting big recognizable actors and anchoring them to a world and style that people are familiar with. And to be fair, maybe they weren't entirely wrong, as nearly every one of those live-action adaptations made at least 2 to 3 times its budget, with many earning substantially more, which meant that live action was the safe bet. Or at least it was until Mario proved otherwise. As it wasn't just the first video game adaptation to gross over $500 million, but also the first to more than double it, ending with a box office total of $1.3 billion. Or 13 times its $100 million budget, which makes it not just a top-grossing video game adaptation by far, but also the second highest grossing animated movie of all time at the time, just behind Frozen 2. All because Nintendo and Illumination dared to make a Mario movie that actually respected the characters and world we already knew.
That is cinema!
Although that success isn't without some irony, considering that Nintendo was also behind that other Mario movie, which famously kickstarted the live-action trend over 30 years ago as the first ever Hollywood adaptation based on a video game.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Despite that fact though, the Mario movie isn't just for hardcore fans. Sure, it was undeniably made for them first and foremost, but you don't reach this level of success without attracting a much wider fan base, even with Mario's multi-generational reach. Hell, even my parents, who really only know of Mario through my own obsession with the games, went to go see it. And well, I'll let them speak for themselves.
I thought it was absolutely outstanding. I was just blown away. I loved it.
Just really a wholesome, fun, entertaining, I could go see it again movie.
Which is especially impressive when you consider just how weird Mario's universe is. I mean, this is a world of sentient mushrooms, ruled over by a human princess, featuring a lovesick Turtle King as an antagonist, with elements like flying tanuki suits, gorillas in sport coats that can drive cars, and more. Almost all of which are side effects of Nintendo's gameplay-first philosophy, where elements added for their gameplay purpose don't have to make logical sense within this world, which is why platforms can float for no discernible reason, or why a flower can let you throw fireballs. How do you even begin to make these seemingly nonsensical attributes make sense? Well, as it turns out, the secret is, you don't. or at least not overtly. All that matters is that the characters believe it. In fact, Illumination had actually explored explaining some of the weirder elements early on, such as why did the question blocks float, before they wisely abandoned the idea.
This is why we're here.
Float
Unobtainium.
And it's that confidence that almost every other video game adaptation was missing, because it almost seemed like they were ashamed of what they were, whereas the Mario movie very clearly wasn't. In any case, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss part 2 of our Mario movie analysis, in which we'll break down why it was such a great idea to make the Mario movie an isekai.